Steve Hordinski, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Steve, for our listeners who may not be familiar with you and your work, who are you and what do you do?
I've been around for a while. Been training jiu-jitsu religiously for like 27 years now. I'm a 4th-degree black belt under Master Kaiki. I operate a school out here in Colorado called Catharo Training Center. My dad and I opened it 2010. I've been doing it ever since. Yeah, I'm a jiu-jitsu junkie, bro.
Awesome. One, true, but two, I think you're selling yourself a little short. Steve, I'd love to get into your amazing journey through jiu-jitsu, how you got in, the legendary people you trained with, Helson, Kaiki, also to your experience as a Navy diver. Love to get into that. A Navy diver. What's a Navy diver do? Like once you're a diver, you're through training. What do they do?
We hang out in shorts and get a tan. We fuck off a lot. No, we do good work. When there's work, there's work. And like being a Navy diver is like, basically you could do a lot of different things. You could go, some go into the spec war community where like they're working side by side with EOD, SEALs, things like that. I have some friends that went that way with projects, and then work, some went with the Dolphins, working with Dolphins and things like that. I went with ship's husbandry first, where I'm just working on boats. So I was basically underwater fixing things under submarines, dropping the grates and climbing up inside the ballast tanks and working on shit. Wow. It was hard work though. I mean, like you had to be in really good shape because like you're like turning wrenches underwater.
Wow.
Is a whole another thing. Like you have to find ways to create powerful explosive movements with no leverage. Wow. So you're like kicking your fins really hard and you're just like, you're just trying to yank that bolt free. So like you figure out some really interesting tricks to create leverage underwater where you're just floating. Wow. Trying to brace yourself against something. We did a lot of cool jobs. Working on the ships, being in the shipyard or Pearl Harbor at Mudsu. I was at Mudsu 1 shoreside. I was diving pretty much every day.
Wow.
So like diving like that too, like you're working hard. So damn. I was diving, we'd have to do the run, swim, runs. I was doing jiu-jitsu. So I was in the best shape of my life at 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, I got out. I think 28, I got out of the military. Yeah, it was hard work. And I got, like I said, I got stationed back in Hawaii. And then when I was up for orders, where'd I go? I just went Mudsu Seaside. So now I'm doing salvage diving. And all that is just, we're doing deeper dives. We're recovering wrecks, diving on wrecks. So I got to do some cool stuff there.
Wow.
And we got to go to Palau. We did like this joint operation in Palau where we were underwater and we were diving on a bomber that got shot down in World War II trying to find the remains of the crew. And so we had basically an archaeological dig site underwater. So how you do that is pretty impressive too. We had an anthropologist with us. We had Army with us. We had Air Force with us. And we're just doing this joint operation. We were out there for like 2 or 3 months, something like that. Staying in a 4-star hotel, getting in lots of trouble. I was. Nothing I couldn't get out of though.
How deep are you? When you're a World War II bomber, you're doing the archaeological stuff. How deep are you?
It wasn't that deep because like what had happened is this plane came down and when it crashed on where a coral head is, so it went down. So I would say we're like 30 feet, 40 feet, maybe 30. I think probably like 30. It wasn't too bad because we could dive there for a long time. But basically all we were doing is we were gridding off with PVC like piping. We were making squares. We basically put it right there and we would just get a dredging tool and we just suck up all the sand into like a big grate, bring it up to the surface on the barge. And then we'd run it through, a series of like water and everything to the screens to try to find articles from the pilots, like personal articles, like dog tags, IDs. And we found that stuff. Wow. And then we looked at bones. And we found the first trip, we found the lower gunner, the whole mandible, like most of the body, the remains, the skeletal remains of it. they were really preserved well. And then I guess they came back. I got out after that dive job, and they came back probably a couple years later, and they found everybody.
Wow.
Yeah,
What's
it's
that
pretty
like?
cool.
You on the boat when they're shifting through and they see the remains come out? Are you? Do you
Oh,
see
no, I was in the water.
yeah,
I
okay.
was in. I listen. I remember it was such a. I mean, to me, like I'll remember it because like that brought closure to a family,
Yeah. Wow.
right?
Sure.
Because like they found, now they know, but it was like from World War II, so it was like that's a long time, and so this family finally found out what happened to one of their family member. And I remember, so I was inside the lower gunner, the pod, whatever, the machine gunner. I mean, I'm up inside this wreck, and I'm like upside down. I'm hard hat diving, so I've got the neck down. Mud water getting into my hat. I'm like having to purge it to blow all that shit out. And I'm just dredging. You have to be careful. And then all of a sudden, I find that the lower gunner's lower jaw with
Whoa.
teeth all in it, and it was really well preserved. And so then we started finding vertebrae, ribs, and basically we found, like they said, something like 95% of the skeleton remains of that pilot.
That is wild. And that person's been down there for 70 years or something, huh? I mean, crazy.
World War II, yeah. So we've been
Mm.
out there for a long time because they had a lot of air battles over there. And the company, it's interesting. Like that was a really fun job. I enjoyed that because it felt meaningful. We've done like salvage jobs. We did remember when the Greenville that sunk one of that Japanese fishing
Okay. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Okay.
boat? That was my unit. We did that.
Wow.
That was crazy too because we did that with we had the news like when that happened, and we decided that we were going to be the recovery operations entity for that. We had Japanese divers coming in. We had Japanese news crews every day out there with us. News crews. I mean, because it was such a high profile thing to happen, this submarine did a ballast blow, came up underneath the fishing vessel. All right. And it was for kids. It was like a school to teach young adults how to become commercial fishermen. And so they all died. Everybody died because when it hit, they just sunk. And what we did is we decided to work with that. We partnered with the Japanese on it, the Japanese divers. And so they came up with like this crazy like game plan where we were gonna, because it's deep in Hawaii. Like we couldn't dive there. We had to bring that wreck, lift that boat up, move it to a shallower place, set it back down, and then start doing the salvage work.
Wow.
And so what they did is it took a while. They used robotics, and they actually used like high pressure water and cannons, whatever, like to run around the hole, put belly bands underneath it, lift it with a floating barge, move it, set it down, and they started diving operations.
Wow. What's the deepest you've been down? What's the max for a diver to go down?
Well, it depends on what you're diving. If you're doing like regular air, you're doing the nitrogen and oxygen, you can't go down too deep without getting like feeling a little knocked out.
Mhm.
So I don't know. They test us in the military. I think we go down to like 180 in the pod and see how you respond to being knocked out. I can't remember. It's been a long time. But when we do like mixed gas, when we're diving with helium and oxygen mixture, we can go down a lot deeper because we're not going to have the effects of the nitrogen, right? The only thing is you're going to get colder faster and your voice is going to change. But when you start getting into like deeper dives, then you have to start looking at like recompression. So like when you come up the water column, if you're doing like these kind of dives where you're not going to sit in the water column and do your decompression, we're going to get you up to a certain depth, and then we're going to run you all the way up. We're going to strip you down out of your gear into your dive shorts, and you're going to jump into this chamber that we have on site, and we're going to put you back down at like whatever feet, 40, whatever. And then you're going to do your decompression inside a controlled environment. So
Wow.
we're doing mixed gas diving. That was fun because there's a lot of moving elements, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong. I actually enjoyed that kind of work because like being on the time, being on the clock, like when the divers come up and having to move that quickly and have a system where how we unhat them, get them done, you know, you have to do it perfectly because if you miss that, if you omit decompression, now the person's on a treatment table. So now diving operations are going to stop and we're going to have to treat someone for any kind of diving illness. So I love the aspect of diving from that because it was a team effort. And, you know, working with guys like that, I will say this, the people I worked with are some of the best individuals I've ever worked with, hands down. You didn't have to like double check someone's work. Like if they fucking said they did it, they did it, because if they didn't do it, someone might die. So everybody took the job fucking serious, you know, like when you're working on the air systems and stuff like that. We had fun, we worked hard, but it was a brotherhood. That's all. Navy diving to me was brotherhood, blue and gold through and through, you know.
How many total years in the Navy did you do?
11.
Wow. Wow. Dude, thanks for your service. You've got phenomenal stories. If you had to sum up what you learned in the Navy in like a couple sentences, what would you learn? What's the last life lessons you learned there?
That's a good question. For me, I would say discipline will take you a long ways, but mental toughness will take you further.
Wow.
You gotta be mentally tough, man. Like there are times that like divers, man, you don't see a lot of old divers. Like they die. All right. Because when you fuck up and you drown, you're not breathing, okay, you're dead. You know, and you know, I've lost a few friends, you know, like and that's how real it was. You know, it wasn't like these are only stories you hear about other people, but like losing people that you knew to diving accidents, or you know, losing friends to skydiving accidents, you know, like that all happened. And you know, I experienced a lot in my 20s that I feel it made me who I am today. And that's someone who appreciates, I appreciate everything, even the people that don't appreciate me. I still have some love for them, you know. Yeah, you just look at things differently when there's something more at stake. That's why I love, you don't hear it, I love working with fighters. And the reason why is because they're not going to war per se, but those are the guys that would go to war. You know what I mean? Like they would go to battle with you. Anybody's gonna step in the cage, I believe, will go to battle with you. You know, like there's no question that this is a dude that's got my back, you know. Like I gotta trust this dude. And so that's what I love about working with fighters is that you're dealing with a caliber of person as someone that's gonna run to the fight, not from the fight.
Run to the fight, not from the fight. Wow, that's fantastic. And then getting back to the fighting, you said you started with Helson, and then at some point you started training with Kaiki, who I met through Steve. I met at Maxercise way back in the day. I remember Steve Maxwell saying that Kaiki, I think Helio said that he is the best at jiu-jitsu outside of the immediate Gracie family. He's ever something like that, some quote like that. Like
Yeah,
he has the highest level of jiu-jitsu outside of the family. How'd you get connected with Kaiki? And what you learn from him?
well, all right. So Kaiki and Helson were friends for a long time. You know, I still have a lot of love for Helson, man. You know, like I just chose to not be around him. And that's just because we went different directions in our lives, you know, like my life was different. Always give reverence to the man. Like if it wasn't for him, for his jujitsu, for the mat, for the compassion, love he gave me, you know, like he gave me a place to stay. Right. I lived with him. He made sure that I got to do all the competitions. He gave me a car when I didn't have a car, you know, so like it was a really tough choice for me to leave. And mostly it was just because, you know, anybody knows Helson, he's a little wild. You know, we don't need to talk about anything else other than that, you know. But I always remember who he was to me back then, not who he is now. When I started seeing that we weren't working well together anymore, I just said, well, fuck, I'll just do my own thing, for a little while. But I was like, man, I want someone to be kind of guide me through my black belt, like I don't want to be like, I just don't want to be picked up by anybody. Like I thought about working inside of the Six Blades organization for a while. I had kind of lost connection with like Saulo and Sanji for a little while. Now I'm more reconnected with Sanji through, the Six Blades affiliate out here. I got a guy out here who I train with a lot, Rodrigo. He's a 6th degree, and him and I just, we help each other. He runs a school, I run a school. We train together every week. We do strength and conditioning together. So like I'm back kind of, hanging out with those guys. But I didn't want to affiliate with that, just because like I kind of knew Saulo and I love Saulo, but like him and Saulo and Helson kind of like to do the same things, and my life was changing. I think I got married shortly after that. That didn't last, but I was married for like 6 years, and so my life, I wasn't going out anymore. I wasn't doing that shit. I wasn't chasing girls or nothing like that. I was just building my business. Well, when that happened, I told Kaiki. Well, first what happened is that Helson would just start throwing people out of the organization, and like there are guys like, to me, loyalty. Like if someone is loyal to me, I will be loyal to them. And maybe that's a kind of a crutch to some people nowadays, because maybe it's like it doesn't seem like loyalty is such a big thing anymore in our culture. It's become more commercialized. It become more of a jiu-jitsu club rather than what I was used to, what you're probably used to. I don't know. Master Kaiki was always nice to me, man. Like I known him since I was a white belt. Like we used to meet up in Ohio for the tournaments. He would come to Hawaii. I would hang out with him. Like I had fun hanging out with Kaiki. So when I was dealing with Helson, who did I call? I called Master Kaiki because that was his friend. I told him, I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm having a hard time with this. He said, Steve, I understand. I don't talk to Helson much anymore either. Said reasons. I was like, all right, cool. So we just started working together. And, I told him I didn't want to affiliate with anyone. I didn't want to be under him or nothing like that. But after working with him like 4 years, and how kind he was to my family, how he asked about my dad, how he just call and check on me, all these like things that like I never got from like a coach, or a teacher. Like it was just different, and he was professional all the time. Kaiki carries himself very well, is highly respected, and his jiu-jitsu is amazing. Like the guy's when he does a guard pass on you, it's a basic guard pass, but it feels like you're getting crushed. Like you're like, where does all this pressure come from? And so like it made sense for me to work with Master Kaiki because I knew him, I knew the lineage. And so when I moved from Helson, I was a 2nd degree under Helson. Then I went to Kaiki, and now then I got my 3rd and my 4th through Kaiki.
You spent some time with Helio down in Brazil.
Oh yeah.
What you learned from him, man? If you had to summarize what you learned with your time with Helio, what was that? What would that be?
Put it to you this way, I still pull from that lesson. We did so I got to Brazil, that shit was crazy.
How so?
Some things will never be said. Like, look, when I went to Brazil, it was kind of crazy. I wasn't prepared for that. Like, I'm a very like kind of introvert, reserved, and I get out there and I'm like surrounded by just mayhem everywhere, chaos everywhere. That's what it felt like. And even to the point where you got to take a shower. Like taking a shower was a sketchy situation. You had to turn on the water, wad up some toilet paper, turn the gas on, light it, and it would like boom. Where you're like, oh, this is the day I'm gonna die for a hot shower. So I was like, I don't know. I met a pretty girl there too. She was nice, but yeah, no, it was a good time. I had a great time there. I was training a lot, so we were staying on Copacabana beach over there because one of Helson's friends, Honey, he passed away not too long ago, but man, that guy was so kind. He opened up his house. I stayed there like the whole time when I was in Brazil, and I would just get up 6 a.m., go run the beach, Copacabana Beach, and there was nobody there, so it was like nice and peaceful, right? Then you run it, there's like maybe just a few people out. It wasn't crazy yet, so I would go run there, and then I'll go down to the Bering School that was like real close to where I was staying, and Fabricio Verdun was there getting ready for the Worlds. It was at the Silvio Bering School, and he was there. And so, like, I would just go down there after that run, come back, eat, go train over there. And then Helson would take me wherever he was going to take me in the evening. So if it was going to the Hoyler School, if it was going to a friend of his school, it was like, I got invited to some private black belt training. It was cool because I was getting to train with like all these people, and I was on the mats where all these world champion black belts trained. So it was an awesome experience. And then one day, Helson says, "Hey, we're gonna go see my dad up in the mountains." I was like, "Oh shit, awesome!" Because I had met Helio Gracie in competition when I would go down to California for that. You remember they used to do that Gracie tournament, Gracie only.
Yeah.
We went to one of them, and we brought like a team of seven of us, I think, or nine. I don't remember, but we all, like most of us all medaled. We brought home like 11 golds medals or something like that with like a small number. That was actually the time when Steve Maxwell faced Barrett Yoshida. And after that, so Barrett caught Steve, and then also whoever the John, or maybe I forget, whoever was the champion purple belt there that they had, the bigger guy, Barrett caught him too. And then after that, then we started seeing Steve Maxwell come out to Hawaii, because then he started working with Helson after that. And that's where I got to really get to know Steve. Like, he would help me with my wrestling. He would always like give me good tips, like fitness tips. I mean, the guy's a G, right?
Yeah.
So it brought me full circle. And when we went that day to Grandmaster Helio Gracie's, because I'd already met him, got up into his mountain house where he lived, right into the private mat room. You walk by, as soon as you got in the house, I remember like yesterday, man. Like I said, I still pull from, like, I'm like, oh, I remember that. I remember I felt that before. He did it to me because I got to train with him, right? And and I don't know if a lot of, like, it was Brazil, so probably not a lot of Americans were going out there unless you really like love jiu-jitsu, I guess. But definitely, we walk past, and like we walk past the hallway, there's just all these rooms. It's for all the sons. It's like a military barracks kind of vibe, right? It's like this room, this room, this room, and then I'm just walking down. And as soon as you get to the other end of the hallway, there was the private mat room. And so we went in there, and it was probably like a 4 or 5 hour, maybe even longer session, where it was just like talking jiu-jitsu, man, and like hanging out with Grandmaster Helio Gracie, and asking questions. And I was confused when I rolled with him first. When I first started training with him, I'm like, get knee on belly. He's like, doesn't care. Pass the guard, doesn't care. Everything that was important inside of the competition didn't matter to him. He just laughed at me. But I will say this: whenever I tried to attack, if I had one hand on the collar and I tried to bring the other hand in, he would just hit it. Stop. It was just like, later became my primary focus when I got injured was the grip game. So that was inspired from that lesson, is because I remember how I could never get another hand on him. And I mean, like, I was so impressed. He was 86 years old. And there's like honestly, like, you could, like, I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere on him. And of course, I was doing the dumb shit blue belt thing, using too much power. I'm a fit guy, and I'm like training with Grandmaster. And I don't know what he said in Portuguese, but Helson told me, he said this, it may have been completely different. Like maybe he said your students being dumb or something. I don't know. But it was in Portuguese, and Helson said, my dad says, he says, look, you're young and strong. He's an old man. If you fight him with strength, you'll beat him. So, but if you go technique versus technique, you'll never have a chance. So I was like, computed right away. I was like, that makes sense. Okay. So then I trained with him like that. And my God, I was like, this is amazing. I can't believe this. And it gave me hope. I'm hope to be training like that at 86. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I hope to be, if I'm alive, like I
Yeah.
hope that I'm still able to roll with my students and train with people, because like that gave me that kind of hope. And also I got exposed to the Gracie diet. After that, we went and had a nice dinner, all in the gis. There's an
Mhm.
old video of it. It's like one of the VHS videos that somewhere on YouTube, and one of the guys with us posted it. But it was cool, man. Like I got to be around some really cool people. That's when I met like a lot of like, I think Caprito, I met him, Pichapano, I met him. You know, of course, Daniel Moraes was one of my #1 training partners when he was in Hawaii, because he come out there. And I, of course, you know, when I went to Brazil, I went to the place where he trains out there. Yeah, I got plugged in, you know, early on.
So cool. You mentioned, so I mean, so it's old school BJJ there, such legends, such like you said, you got knee on belly, he didn't care. You passed his guard, he didn't care. But his thing's like survival, right? Like he's going to survive. He doesn't care about points,
Yeah.
doesn't care about clock, he doesn't care about like advantages, like he's going to survive. What do you think? Just fast forward to today. Today's like just training through the country, right? What I see is like a lot of times someone will go to their first class and like it's the leg lock game. Like they have no concept of stand up, break falls, getting up in base. Like what's a rear naked choke? Everything's like an ankle lock, a heel hook, a berimbolo to like a calf crusher. Like they may be able to submit you. They may be able to submit somebody in a match, but I don't know if they could get out of a headlock or if someone could just walk up and knock them out. Right? Like, what do you think? Like
Yeah.
the self defense isn't there, but the roll,
They can roll good.
yeah, they roll good. They can roll good in a scramble. They'll catch your ankle. But if you stood up, you feel like you can knock them out. Like, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I see the same problem. You know, like I still try to govern myself on those four major principles. You know, obviously, you know, leverage over strength. But
Mhm.
if you are strong, get the end of the lever, you're way stronger. So I'm not
Yeah,
opposed to strength. I just
yeah,
know
yeah,
that if I put all my strength on the end of the lever, that shit's mine. You
yeah,
know, so I'm not
yeah,
opposed to timing over speed, right? And if you
yeah,
have speed, you're gonna be that much faster. It just amplifies your attributes. Natural body movements over flexibility, I think that's very important as you're an older
yeah,
grappler,
yeah,
because you're going to get hurt if you start playing things off to the side. If you
yeah.
keep things in front of you, the way your body works naturally, you're going to have more success, in my opinion. So I try to stick with the natural body movements and
Mhm.
street effectiveness. Do not forget about the street. Do not forget about the punches, because if you're blocking punches, you're also blocking grips. Makes you
Mhm.
very hard to be controlled, right? So that's my thought on it. As far as leg locks, I mean, I'm very current on everything. I'm a student of the game. I love it, and I'm a coach. So like right now, I mean, we're doing 3 months of just no gi at my school, where we're all focused in on leg locks, and all I'm doing is teaching
Yeah.
from a system that I know works. And you know, the way I approach leg locks, I can take a white belt and make them safe there. But I understand, they know that when we do this summer series with the leg locks, that this is applying, majority of it is applying only to the sport aspect of jiu-jitsu,
Mhm.
unless you're getting good knee bars where your face isn't protected, or where it's protected, I mean, or you're maybe you're doing some leg lock stuff where you're keeping the legs entangled so that you're not getting up kicked in the face when you're trying to
Mhm.
fuck around. You know, like there are ways to apply it, but majority of the leg game is definitely not going to be something that I would go to in the MMA setting, you know. But I will teach my fighters how to not be there. You know,
Mhm.
I develop different kind of guards and things like that, that allow them to play to their strengths of standing up and, you know, not exposing their legs. I call it inside bladed guard. And that's
Mhm.
all stuff I've seen people how they get off the cage, stand up off the cage, you know. So um there's not all jiu-jitsu is the same. I think you can't go wrong if you're looking for a school if they've got the Gracie roots, because you do want to know the self-defense aspect of things. Because for me, like I teach the self-defense. My black belts all go through it still. Now, has it changed a little bit? Of course, because I do it every year. Every year I test black belts. And it's always going to change. Why? Because I'm getting better. at seeing it. They're getting better at doing it. And we understand, like, we start adding resistance to inside of this self-defense program. Now you have something that works for law enforcement, for military. You know, you can put a little more confidence in that and say, like, you know what? I feel good about putting this product out to the world in the form of self-defense. From the self-defense, though, good jiu-jitsu habits, good jiu-jitsu fundamentals, good jiu-jitsu ideas, you know, it all translates.
One of the things you mentioned there, when you're blocking punches, you're blocking grips. That's one of the things I learned from, I know you're friends with Javier Vasquez.
Oh, yeah.
That's a UFC fighter. And he's a guest on the show a couple months back. And the one thing he stresses in his videos and he stresses like in his instructionals is like, first thing, control the hands. If you're going to get in trouble in jiu-jitsu, if you want to get in trouble in jiu-jitsu, don't control the hands. Like if you don't control the hands, everything bad happens when you don't control the hands. And after speaking with him, like just controlling people's hands, like you said, blocking punches, you're blocking grips, and you're in just such a better place when you control the other fighter's hands, right?
You make them frustrated. You make them frustrated, make big moves, big mistakes, and then you capitalize on them. Yeah. Like I was injured. I've had like I ruptured my bicep, so I had to train with my right arm. I ruptured my pec, so then I had to train with my left arm. And in doing that, the only reason why I was able to train, because both of those injuries put me out for damn near a year of, if I wasn't trained with one arm, I wasn't training. And so by doing that, what I started noticing is like that's what I really pulled from that lesson from Grandmaster Helio Gracie on that way he stuffed my grip. So all I did is I just started grabbing people's wrists, not their gi, not the cloth, because the cloth is easy to manipulate. I just grabbed the wrist, control the elbow. You know, I started playing on the grips, and what I started noticing that by me playing on the grips, my ability to think and be patient and survive was way better, because now all their fucking shit that they're trying to do to me was built off of that, them getting that one grip. So jiu-jitsu to me became a lot more simple, because like rather than thinking like 3-4 steps ahead, all I had to do is think about your grip and be first, because you tell me what you're trying to do. I don't care about if it's you're trying to barrel bolo off this grip, or you're trying to go inverted, go into my legs, you're trying to sweep me. Like, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about whatever he wants to do right now. It's not that grip. So fuck that grip. I'm going to grab it.
That goes back to something I heard you say in an interview a couple months back. You said you got to keep it simple because BJJ is complex enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Like something as simple as controlling the wrist, man. I mean, I could take your jiu-jitsu to the next level. Just that, maybe that little thing that you just need, that little connection point between one or two things, or just controlling the hands, like you said, not grabbing the cloth, not grabbing the gi, grabbing the wrists. Like just adding something like that can like open up your game to like a whole nother level, right?
Yeah. Here's what it does. It's like, you ever get stuck in the mud in your car?
Yeah.
You're spinning your wheels.
Yep.
You're spinning your wheels until you can get some hard ground underneath there. The hard ground is them getting a grip.
Yeah.
If they get the grip, they just spinning their wheels and then burning energy.
Yeah.
And that's if you ask me, like as an older grappler, right?
Yeah.
If someone wants to be competitive on the mat,
yep.
Or maybe you are a competitor, right?
Yep.
What would I do to slow down the game? Be first on the grip. Understand how to control the wrists. Understand. I put it into 3 concepts. Concept of intercepting grips. So as soon as the hand's coming into anywhere near me, I'm just grabbing it. Grab wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, right? And then once I have control of it, I call it concept of occupying ground. I got this idea. A lot of people call jiu-jitsu a chess match, right? I don't. All right, I'll do it because it's cliche and it sounds cool on a t-shirt. Honestly, I don't believe it like that. There's a game called, have you heard of the game Goes, where you're trying to occupy space and push your opponent out. It's jiu-jitsu for me. That's how I think about jiu-jitsu. So when I get the grip, I maintain it. And now I'm in the phase of occupying ground. And what happens if I hold it long enough, you start to back out. And then I move forward again, and you back out. And I keep moving forward until like, before you know it, like you don't even know what happened.
That's so cool. So intercepting grips, occupying ground. What's the third one?
Understanding the counter grip fighting. So you can say concept of counter grip fighting. And when people say grip fighting, when they say the grip fight, most people are talking about grip defending, right? I'm talking about actually fighting you at the grip. Like when I counter grip fight you, like you're grabbing me, I'm grabbing you right away, and then I'm going into something. And so it's like, I mean, when I say counter grip fighting, like you're gonna be worn out because of how much I'm gonna be on your grips. Like you're never gonna get a clean grip on me. I'm always gonna be on something. And that's how I slow down the game.
Yep.
And that's what I do on scramblers, powerful people. I mean, like I'm not big like I used to be. Like I used to be like pushing like 195 up to 215, right? I'm 175. It's a better weight for me. Maybe I'll get a little heavier because I'm working with some bigger guys right now. Maybe go up to 185. But yeah, man, the reason why I can stay there is like I'm finding better places to be and better ways to fight out of these positions. And always my go-to is like, where's that hand? Are you locked onto my shoulder here? You grab my gi, my arm? No, I'm not going to let the thing about not letting your guard get past is about not letting them control you with the outside arm. The arm that comes around that would be the one that would punch you is also the one that will grab you. So if I manage that, one, I'm not getting punched. Two, they're not grabbing. Three, I'm going to be a lot harder for you to pass.
That's great. Yeah, dude, thanks for sharing that. That is so good, man. That's so good. You mentioned about like slowing the game down, not doing explosive moves. To me, that goes to like longevity, like staying, like you said, you want to stay on the mat to you like set like Helio, like upper 80s, lower 90s. You want to train the rest of your life. I'm 50 now. So like, what are some of your ideas to stay on the mat? Like, how has your training evolved? Maybe after, like you said, pec injuries, bicep injuries, back injuries, how has your game evolved where it's still, like you said, more effective than ever, but like it's a little more, I'd say safer, but a little more inclined to keep you on the mat? Like what kind of changes did you make or how did you evolve?
Made a lot of changes. Made a lot of changes. Definitely I'm eating a lot more. Like I'm eating a lot more hearty meals because I'm trying to put on more muscle to handle more impact. I got linked up inside the Six Blades with Cameron Shane. He's a coach, jiu-jitsu coach, movement coach, strength coach, I think, over at Killcliff. He has this thing called Budokan. Highly recommend it. You definitely should get him on the show. Those movements make you strong for jiu-jitsu. Like Budokan is, to me, the language of jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is an expression of like that individual or that lineage. But when you add a language to it, something universal, you find the most efficient ways to move inside of a warm-up or inside of a recovery or inside of a strength building regimen. So on Mondays, we just do 1 hour of Budokan movements. And all it is basically jiu-jitsu and yoga. But they're set up in flows and patterns that are going to develop muscle memory inside of your game for jiu-jitsu. So they show you the most efficient way to go from your back to your belly, to move, to crawl, to pass. All the crawling patterns are dealing with guard passing. All the sidewinder movements are dealing with guard recovery. I mean, you're doing inversions, everything. So like that to me has been crucial. I do that every day. I do meditate. I do the pranayama breathing. You know, I have someone show it to me, so I just started taking that into my thing. I do hot yoga. I do strength and conditioning with my strength coach at Landau's, Eric Kelly, because he's good for my body. I'm older, so he takes care of me. And then from there, I do my own strength and conditioning, kind of like a meathead workout. God, I don't know. I just started doing like this meathead workout because I know it'll make me big and strong. I'm a single. I lost a girlfriend and everything during the back injury. So, you know, if there's any hot single ladies that aren't crazy,
that's what you know. Where are you with like choosing your training partner? Say you got, say someone's 40, 45, 50, they're training 3-4 times a week, not a competitor, but they want to keep jiu-jitsu in their life. How important is it to can choose the right training partner?
I mean, look, you got to tell people how to roll with you. And you can say no. There's nothing wrong with saying no. I mean, I used to have that mentality. I never say no to people, but there's just people are just not worth rolling with, because you know if they're gonna like start cranking on things, I'm like, is that worth me being injured again? No, that's going to hurt the academy. If I'm injured, the academy hurts. So I'll say no to people, or I'll just tell them not today. And if I do roll with them, I'll make sure that I roll with them in a very tight grip game. I will make sure that there's no scrambles. I'll stop when I need to stop. I'll be like, hey, too much. Let's slow down. And I think communication, as an older athlete, you should absolutely communicate with your training partners. Unknown training partners, don't give them more than one chance. And look, if they start going too hard, just say, we're done. I can't roll with you. Find a new partner. Because they think they're being one way, but they're not. They don't have the awareness yet. They have good intentions, but they don't have the awareness. You know what I mean? And that awareness comes through what? Mat time.
That's great, man. No, thank you for sharing that. This is great. Wrapping up here, quite a couple fun questions. Wrapping up. First one, we spoke about so much, Steve. We talked about your Navy diving career, like how you found jiu-jitsu, your time in Hawaii, Brazil with Helio and Kaiki, your time with Helson, all your great training strategies. If you could have everyone listening take just one lesson away from everything we discussed, what would that lesson be?
Develop mental toughness. Don't be a bitch. That's how you're going to stay on the mat. The people who don't have that, they quit right away. The people there for like recognition, are there for like belts, they're not going to last.
Yeah.
Just be tough, be gritty, man. And just don't complain. Just show up. Be like, hey, the guy rolls hard with you. You know how many times I've been hurt? Plenty. You know how many times I complained about it?
0. That's great. I love it. Be gritty. That's so cool. 2 more questions. Here's a fun one. If you can spend a day with anyone, alive or dead, famous, not famous, who would you spend the day with?
I like John Danaher. I don't know if we'd get along.
Okay.
But I think we probably would. But I'd like to hang out with him.
Yeah. He's fascinating.
I like to pick his brain, just talk a little bit, just hang out with him. We don't even have to talk jiu-jitsu. Like, he tell me some other shit. I'll listen.
Yeah. He's fascinating.
I like to talk to him. I like him.
He would be phenomenal. It's funny, way back in the day, this is way before Danaher became Danaher. I'm at Balance with Phil and Rick Migler. Those guys were awesome. And I had one dude that used to work in New York. And I'm like, hey, man, what have you been up to? I haven't seen you in a while. I've been traveling. I'm like, he's been training up in New York. And he goes, hey, man, I got to tell you something. He goes, I found somebody whose privates are as good as Phil Migler, but don't tell Phil. I go, who? He goes, I found the guy in New York. His privates are just as good as Phil's. And I'm like, who's the guy? He goes, his name is John Danaher. And I've been taking privates with him up in New York. And my God, he knows as much as Phil does. That's like 15 years ago. Like, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I like his stuff, man. It checks out. He's proven it too.
Oh, man, he's a beast. He's absolute beast, man.
Well, he did, like, a lot of his jiu-jitsu, like, think about it, he was corner and GSP. So, like, I love that, like, a lot of it has that MMA grittiness to it,
Yeah, it's phenomenal, dude. Every time he talks, I learn something. How about this? Last question. It's a fun one. Steve Hordinski, if you had to get a quote or a motto tattooed on your body, what would that quote or motto say?
Oh, shit. I mean, if I'm thinking jiu-jitsu, control and efficiency.
Control and efficiency. That's freaking great.
Jiu-jitsu. And then after everything I've been doing for 27 years, if someone asked me 2 words that I would get tattooed on my body, which I got the jiu-jitsu tattooed on my body already. Got the triangles, got my logo.
Yeah.
I would say control and efficiency, and that's jiu-jitsu for me.
That is awesome. I think control and efficiency is about as good as a spot as any to wrap this up. The guest is Steve Hordinski, head instructor at Catharo Training Center in Littleton, Colorado. Steve, man, so awesome to speak with you, man. Thanks for walking us through an amazing career in the Navy. Thank you for your service. So much great jiu-jitsu knowledge you dropped. If people are looking for you and your academy and all your stuff online, where can we find you?
Just go to my Instagram. You can find everything there and get to me. Hordinski_jiu-jitsu.
Hordinski_jiu-jitsu. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put them in the show notes. But Steve, thank you, man. It's such an honor to speak with you. I admired your work from afar for so long. Appreciate you coming on the show. If I'm ever out there in Denver, dude, I'm stopping by. Let your guys kick my ass, man. It's awesome. Looking forward.
I'm gonna try to get out there too. I mean, I've talked a little bit about it, but who knows, man? Who knows what's gonna happen?
I'd love to show them out with you at some point. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Talk soon. That was fun, man. Hell yeah, man. I'm glad. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I was looking forward to talking to you, brother.